I was at I believe it was an Augusta University Research Institute meeting. I was on that board with Gretchen Kaufman, who's the provost. And Gretchen was just checking her cell phone, and all of a sudden she says, "Oh, wonderful news. Dr. Keel is going to be our next president."
It was a lot of anticipation. You know, he was sort of coined as Augusta's favorite son, coming back home. You know, a prodigy of both of the legacy institutions of Augusta College and the Medical College of Georgia, and coming back for this purpose of taking this institution to the next level. We knew that coming into this was going to be sort of a turnaround, just not to the extent that it was when we first got here.
The state of the university was one of a bit of a disarray. The community was entirely disenfranchised with the name of the university. It had gone through several name changes already. The name that had been settled on, no one liked. And you think the name, what's the big deal? Well, it was a huge deal. And there was no sense of pride in the community about the university. And so we sort of walked into that.
There was a lot of distrust. The community didn't feel like they were a part of the university, which made it very hard to go out and do outreach in the community when people didn't feel like they could trust you.
I remember when we first got to campus, or Somerville campus at least, it was definitely a campus divided. Undergraduate students definitely felt at home with Somerville, but we didn't feel as comfortable going to the health sciences campus because that was a new experience for everyone, and we didn't know what to expect because it just felt like it was just for those health science and medical students.
I think the students were, resilient in terms of sort of going with the flow, and that's a great thing. I don't mean that they weren't a little bit unsettled, but nothing compared to the faculty. The faculty were really unsettled. They were not happy on either side about the consolidation. They could acknowledge that there was potential there, certainly, and I don't mean that they were revolting, but they weren't coming together.
When he came to campus, we met him as an executive cabinet team met with him, and I won't forget, because you've got a president coming from a larger student base, and I remember welcoming him, and I remember him saying, coming into this university, not as many students, so not as big in that manner, but certainly complexity more. And my comment to him, I said, "Well, Dr. Keel, I know you can handle that part, but it's the health system that's going to be that's going to be your problem."
For me, I was watching closely, our investment accounts. And so we had reserves, but really we had reserves on paper because the health system owed the university so much money. If I needed to pull those reserves, I didn't have the cash to pay anything.
I walked in the door with this incredible amount of joy and pride and anticipation, and walked out of the door scared to death about what in the world have we gotten into. Of all the 26 campuses in the system at that time, I don't think you could have picked two universities that were more dissimilar than Augusta State University. It's always be Augusta College to me, which was a very good but small, completely liberal arts university, a commuter college, really, if you will, open access institution, which is an important part to remember. And then you've got the Medical College of Georgia, which was renamed Georgia Health Sciences University, that is the state's only public medical school, state's only dental school, high-powered biomedical research. And you take those two things and you jam them together. When I first heard about this, and these are my institutions, my alma mater, I said, what in the world are they smoking when they thought about that this was a good idea? Other than the geography, how could you possibly think it would work?
There was a lot of this is the health sciences campus, that is the Somerville campus, the traditional liberal arts and social sciences versus the academic medical center and the clinical campus.
It was really important that there be some healing, and the thing that Dr. Keel brought was really a perfect persona in order to do that as a leader going into what I would say was the next era.
We always wanted to make sure we understood we will always be Augusta's University. With that, before we were Augusta University, I mean that intentionally, with a community university. The second thing is, again, we had to take advantage of what sets us apart and not be ashamed of it or scared about it. We are the state's only designated health sciences medical university.
I think people had a lot of mixed emotions about the consolidation, and he really was able to provide such great leadership to make everyone feel okay with it. Regardless of your thoughts of where you may have fallen within the consolidation, he was a president that brought everyone together to make us feel like, hey, we're going to get through this and we're going to come out on top.
Once we made the name change, then our folks went through an unbelievable branding campaign to do a couple things. To change the brand that was associated with the name of the university, but also, in some cases even more important than that, to unify the brand across all of our platforms. You know, I knew it was going to be important. I knew it was going to be huge. I knew there were going to be, as I said, some very influential people in the community that were really, really excited about that. But I never really fully appreciated it. Even to this day, I don't think I fully appreciate how visceral that was with the community. It was a spark that turned into a roaring fire of pride about what this place is and what it represents. We knew pretty much within the first 6 to 8 months we came here that the platform, clinical platform that the health system had just was not large enough to support the 8th largest medical school in the country. And medicine had changed, healthcare had changed, and we knew either the state or a private health system was going to have to come in that had the bandwidth and the financial acumen to be able to help us with that.
The health system needed better funding, so we needed a partner. We needed a partner to help run the health system. We thought that was extremely important for the future of the Medical College of Georgia as well as the other colleges, because without a strong health science footprint, you can't teach, and you can't do research, and you can't provide patient care at the level that you would attract quality clinicians to be a part of our health system.
So we knew we had to get a partner, and we knew that we had to get a partner that understood, appreciated, not only supported, but participated in the research and the education mission that we have, and not just outstanding health care. So that was a real turning point, I think, for us when we started that process that resulted in signing a relationship with WellStar.
There were times when you didn't know how it was going to end, or if WellStar would walk away. I think it was a Sunday, it was probably last spring, we had to go over and sign some legal documents. And we drove over, and I believe Russell Keene was always the driver. And of course, we had to stop for Starbucks halfway at Madison, Georgia. And Yvonne Turner and Dr. Keel and I think Yvonne and I were in the back seat. And I never forget that trip because it was lightning and storming. It was the storm of all centuries. And it was lightning, it was ugly, it was thundering. It was so appropriate. And then finally we get to Atlanta, the sky clears, and we get to the lawyers' offices. And then that night, we kind of looked over the documents. And then that night I felt the lawyers assured us that the deal was going to happen.
When I arrived at Augusta University, I had left the governor's office for me to, quote, come back home, where my home is. And part of that was the piece of property on the river was in the state's hands. And I knew about it because it kind of sat on my desk about, where should this go? And upon my leaving, I spoke with the governor and his chief of staff and OPB and said, we ought to really send that to Augusta University.
As soon as I learned that the Army had made the decision to move the Cyber Command for the Northeast down here, I knew pretty quick that this cyber tsunami, as I've called it, was going to hit Augusta, and it was going to be not only the soldiers and their family members, but all of the government contractors that were supporting that mission out of Fort Eisenhower, Fort Gordon, and of course, they're going to be flocking to Augusta too. And that if we, the big we, the university, the community, the city, if we weren't ready for that, if we weren't welcoming for that, if we weren't providing what those folks are going to need, then that tsunami is going to wash right on by us and go somewhere else.
Well, Dr. Keel's huge importance here because he put the focus and said, you know, here's an opportunity. Yes, we're health sciences, but we have this large federal entity that is going to move in thousands of people with thousands of jobs. You know, how do we take advantage? He didn't just kind of get us on the path. He did that with like rocket fuel.
The community felt that Dr. Keel was like a brother or an uncle, somebody that they felt comfortable in talking with. You know, you talk to him today, he's just going to talk to you just like your friend or cousin. But also they had a trust with Dr. Keel that they didn't have before. We brought in civic clubs, we brought in community leaders, and especially our neighbors in the Laney Walker area. They had always felt left out, not a part of what was going on in their back door. So Dr. Keel really put them at ease that he was willing to talk and listen to their concerns.
Well, one thing come to mind, and that's when COVID hit and the unknown for our community. And when I say our community, the Black and brown and poor people, we did not know what this was going to be, how it was going to affect us, and we was pretty much afraid of what to expect in the times during that time, especially when it first started. But Dr. Keel, in his leadership, he made sure that we had vaccination, we had education, and so that's one of the things that I will always be grateful, because he really did make sure that we had the information and not misinformation, and then we had the immunization for our community.
Dr. Keel was a very strong supporter of Augusta. And he basically said something to the effect, if Augusta University is going to be successful, then Augusta has to be successful. We're kind of joined at the hip.
I'm in the community a lot, and I like to recognize community leaders. And sometimes you have to force community leaders. And with Dr. Keel, you could ask, and he would make sure it happens. I've been in an elected office position for almost 4 years now, and giving Dr. Keel the proclamation declaring that day as the Dr. Keel Day was a joyous occasion for me. And if I had to do it again, if it means he'll stay out, I'll do one every 30 days.
The first thing with any good leader is integrity. You can't average out integrity. You either have it or you don't. And we've had a president here that's had it. But then after integrity, you look for vision. And he's got that vision. He has just a great ability to see just a little bit further than everybody else is seeing, to chart the course so that people are reaching toward that.
Well, the thing about Dr. Keel, he's kind of a man of the people. He would go to the cafeteria, get a tray, go through the line, sometimes alone, sometimes with Russell Keene, and would just eat in the cafeteria. So he was very approachable.
He was confident, but not arrogant. He was engaging, clearly a leader, but didn't need to puff up and, make sure everybody understood who he was when he walked in the room. And he really was very good at putting people at ease.
I don't know about anybody else, but he was very approachable. It was somebody inviting that you can have a conversation with him. You look at him at first and you think, maybe not, but once he's introduced to you, you see a person that's very engaged and will have a conversation. And he was open to meeting the community, and that's what stole my heart for Dr. Keel.
I like that Dr. Keel is a thinker. I like that he listens. I like that he encourages all of us to think outside the box and let's figure out what's best for the university. He's not closed-minded. He really cares so much about this university. It wasn't just the day-to-day operations, but what's going to happen to the university in the future. And what happens to the university in the future starts with what we do today.
What he has done, and what I think is so huge, is put the foundation in place, which did not exist. So many of the behind-the-scenes parts of this university that people don't see, he has worked to correct. Some people may say that's the sausage, but it really isn't. It's not the sausage. It is just some fundamentals that didn't exist before. I don't know that everybody will get to see that, but I hope and I think he would agree. He'll walk away and say, I left it a better place, and he absolutely did.
He really sincerely cared about the student-athlete experience. Dr. Keel would show up, and sometimes we'd go sit in the dugout at baseball practice, or sit in here and watch a basketball practice or volleyball game or something. And just to see his sincere enthusiasm about what was going on. And because he was a legacy guy from Augusta College, and whenever he finished any of his discussions publicly, he always said, "Go Jags." And people would laugh about that, but it was sincere because he sincerely meant that, that he was a Jaguar, 100% Jaguar.
I've been here a long time, and I've been through a lot of presidents. And some of the presidents that came along made a great impact positively. Some of the presidents might have made a negative impact as far as the School of Medicine was concerned. So I think taking over the reins of a system like this, and a university and a big medical school, is a challenge. And it's probably easy to fail, and he didn't.
I've not just been here 9 years, I've truly been here 50 years. I mean, think about that. I started my career as a freshman at Augusta College in the fall of 1974. It all started here, and I think appropriately it's going to end here. I get a lot of credit for a lot of things that happened here, a lot of great things that have happened here. And the truth of the matter is, I didn't do a thing. I'm just a cheerleader. I'm just a rallying point to bring a group of unbelievable people together that have really done the work. I've been able to sit back and just try to stay out of their way and let them do their job.